You doing, Mets fans, whoever you're a fan of? It's your boy Wardy, and we're back at it with our latest post-game segment here on WardyNYM, our first official one of the 2024 calendar season. And you know what? It wouldn't be a Metsian show if I didn't break down a one-hit loss. 3-1 is your final to the Milwaukee Brewers, filled with frustration. You're still wondering, did the 2023 season even actually end, or is it just still starting? We have a lot to get into from this game, including some hecticness as to example, I don't know, reason 1,462 why I despise Rhys Hoskins. Jeff got heated. We saw that. We'll go over that debacle. We'll go over why the Mets couldn't hit a lick today. Was this really surprised? How much of this was expected versus not? And ultimately played a deep dive in the live show today. So that everyone first chiming in live on a replay, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button for your boy. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you all so much in advance for the amazing and endless support as always here on WardyNYM. We are live currently on YouTube and on Twitter, and like I said, we have plenty to get into. The second comment I see, the Mets are pathetic. There you go, folks. To all the Mets fans that were like, you know what, I cannot wait to write off the season. It hasn't taken you long. You know what, I will say this, in our pregame show earlier today, someone did say, you know, the Mets, when they've lost opening day, they've amounted to have success. The Mets have been the best team in opening day pretty much in all Major League Baseball, so maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it is a good thing that they lost in an embarrassing fashion at home at Citi Field for the first time in how long for an opening day. I digress. Like I said, we have a lot to get into in this one, but more than anything, I appreciate everyone that's first taking the time to chime in. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. Really doesn't mean a lot, everybody. To everyone watching on Twitter, if you guys want to interact with me and throughout the show, as we're going to be breaking down any by any what transpired here, the key takeaways, and ultimately who was the killer of the game, which I think most of you can kind of connect the dots to that's going to be. But if you're watching on Twitter, highly implore you all to check out the YouTube version if you want to interact. I'm only going to be interacting with the YouTube viewers here, but again, I appreciate everyone taking the time to first chime in. Like I said, we have plenty to get into, and I have a lot to say. I have plenty to say. Love you too, Mom. I'm happy to have you in here. But I see Matt, Mets, Tyler Reed, people that watch on replay too. Make sure to let us know your key takeaways from the Mets losing 3-1 in their opening day here at Citi Field against the Milwaukee Brewers. I see Rick Roma, Wesley, Daniel, Sanders, Daniel D, Mike, Lil Chagoat. Let's see, Brennan, Ricky, Hayden, Tim, everyone that's first chiming in. Appreciate all you guys and gals. Bear with me 1 second as I make sure I have everything set up and proper in front of me, and then we'll get going. Okay, I think we're locked in. I think we're good. So, before I even break down the game, let's just start here. Okay? Come in. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. Look at this dog shit that I endured, that we all endured for the entire 2023 season. You know what the Mets said? Let's throw up a bunch of donuts today, because that's what we got. If you're not Starling Marte, you did not matter on the offensive end. Shout out to Star-Studded Starling doing the one thing no other Metropolitan could do today. That was actually barrel a baseball. Well, where you could actually get it that isn't going to be in the glove right away of the opposing defender. Don't get me wrong, the Brewers defense looked great today, especially in the outfield. You know, the rookie Jackson trio made some really nice catches, and Wright is set on Marte later on in the game, as a matter of fact, that prevented a potential double off the wall. But still, if you weren't Starling Marte, you did absolutely nothing. And I understand you faced an uber-dominant, uber-talented pitcher today in Freddie Peralta. And as I said in the post-game show today, if the Mets do not get up early and often on Freddie Peralta, he's going to go at least 6 innings of one-run ball. Literally, if you go on my Twitter, I said exactly that. And look, as a surprise to absolutely nobody, that's exactly what happen. So as we get through all this, everybody, I want to see your initial reactions. Yes, shout out to the Metropolitans for one effing hit. Now look, the beauty about this, it's the first game this season. It's only up from here, right? I recall literally right around a year ago saying that exact same thing when the Mets got their tits slit every single game against the Milwaukee Brewers in Milwaukee. I said, well, it can't be much worse than what we're currently dealing with, right? Oh, who knows? Who knows, right? Every time I feel like the Mets have set the low bar, they continue to impress me in their ability to set that bar lower and lower and lower. But well, now let's talk a bit about the game. I want to go through inning and inning by inning on this. I want to share further reactions to this. And again, I'm happy to have you guys in here as we're breaking this down together, because even though that this was a brutal game for our Metropolitans, the grind never stops here in WardyNYM. We will continue. I see Mike, Absolute Beauty, happy to have you in here too. Hope you're doing well wherever you are, my friend. But let's get into this now, because I'm pretty pissed off. Not so much on the game outcome as I am on just what we saw transpire towards the end of the game. And again, you saw, unfortunately, the Mets not taking advantage of a potential momentum swing later on with Rhys, again, the overslide there in second base that we'll get back to right now. Apologies in advance for the intro that just ran there for a second. I didn't mean to do that, everybody. Also, shout out to our amazing sponsor on the channel at BetUS. Make sure you get in on the action today with all your sports betting needs by clicking the link down below. That way you too get a 125% bonus with your first 3 deposits. If you guys got in on the action like I did pregame today, I apologize in advance. My 3-pick parlay is already cooked today. That's how you know baseball season's back. I had Mets money line naturally because it's opening day, and their record again in itself just makes valid sense because they've had far worse teams where they've won on opening day. Phillies run line and the Blue Jays money line. So that's already cooked. So the A1 that did the 3-leg parlay with me, I apologize. Hopefully he didn't sprinkle too much. And then the pick of the day that I currently had was the Phillies run line heading into their game against the Braves at +1.5. I do not know the current status of that game. Oh, Phillies are up 2-0. There we go. So if anyone hammered just the Phillies run line, you're welcome. So far, so good, as they're right around halfway through in that matchup. Phillies up 2-0 on the Braves as Zach Wheeler's been pitching a gem against Spencer Strider. So let's talk about this. Let's go inning by inning with what transpired in the ball game, everybody. And it starts there that we would see in the first. And again, do not hold back. If you guys are pissed, if your gears are grinded, however you feel, let it loose in the live chat right now. Same thing applies for people on replay down below. Again, we're going to take our dear sweet time with today's show, and it might be cropped for people on replay in case you don't want to listen to maybe north of an hour of a 3-1 Metropolitan loss today. But it starts in the first inning. We have Jackson Chourio leading things off with a walk and then a stolen base. The rookie who signed a $80 million deal over 8-year extension with the Milwaukee Brewers before the season even began is already providing offense. William Contreras would strike out thereafter. That would be the first K by Jose Quintana in the Mets this season. Christian Yelich with an opposite field single, and then thankfully a beautifully turned double play started by Brett the Met Beatty would get the job done for a clean top of the first. As we head to the bottom, Mets 3 up, 3 down. Sounds like a day that ends in a Y. Oh, you got Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso in your 1-2-3. Who cares when they can't hit a damn lick against Freddie Peralta? Freddie Peralta absolutely cooked the Mets. Unbelievably cooked the Mets. We saw that once again today. He did it last year too in Milwaukee. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was freaking out then. I'm annoyed now, even with him being a borderline Cy Young caliber pitcher that we're going to see this year out of Milwaukee. Yes, that's a fact. Watch him all year. You'll find out yourself. As we get to the top of the second, Willie Adames with the flyout, Perkins with a strikeout, Ortiz would get a single for the Brewers, but that's all she wrote. Quintana gets through 2 innings of work without a problem. In the bottom of the second, might I add, Quintana again did get worked a little bit that we saw in the first. He struggled with his command throughout a good portion of today's start, but in all seriousness, Jose Quintana was the least of my worries or concerns when evaluating this game today. It is 1,000%, 100% completely on the offense and nothing else. If you're only allowing 3 earned runs in a ball game, I'm not going to nitpick Quintana's performance, nor am I going to nitpick Jorge Lopez, who of course gave up that 3rd run in the game that we'll get to shortly. But as we advance further here in the bottom of the second, Starling Marte, beautiful at bat, turns on what is a difficult heater inside, 109-mile-per-hour exit velocity. It's high, it's far, it's out of here, baby. And we got ourselves a 1-0 Mets lead in the second. This is now the 3rd consecutive opening day where Starling Marte has hit a nuke. Yes, even though Marte has disappeared in great stretches like we saw last year, he's still a guarantee lock to hit a nuke on opening day. So shame on me for not having me as that prop of the day. I should have known better. Again, too little, too late. It is what it is. But Marte looking healthy, looking great, put up some of the best at-bats that we saw from all Mets today. Because other than that, Freddie Peralta was just carving these batters up left and right. And then you bring in Trevor McGill, Tyler's brother. Shout out to the McGills, being in attendance, Julie and her hubby and everyone else involved. They looked fantastic. And by they, I mean Trevor McGill. The fastball struggled up, but it was consistently sitting 100, and man, oh man, did I want the Mets to pick him up when he was weighed by the Twins last season, earlier on in the year, and then he ended up going to the Brewers pitching lab, and now he's going to be their go-to setup guy for the vast majority of the season. So we see Marte there with the home run, which was awesome, and then DJ gets on with the walk. DJ Stewart with the start at DH today. He would then be picked off, however, at first base, unfortunately, and this is where the gripes already started to begin with Rhys Hoskins. All right, well, let's take a step back. If you're a Mets fan, if you followed along, you don't like Rhys Hoskins, right? You shouldn't like Rhys Hoskins. I don't like Rhys Hoskins. I've never liked Rhys Hoskins, as a matter of fact. Furthermore, I have despised Rhys Hoskins more than most players in Major League Baseball. I can't stand his face. He's just got one of those faces that personally I can't stand. Secondly, this guy had the biggest problem with an erratic minor league caliber pitcher in Jacob Rame, who barely pitched in the bigs after that series in 2019, where he threw right by his head. He did his second time by accident. Rhys hits the nuke. They showed on SNY today, takes his dear sweet time trotting, and he has just been the pettiest little pain in the ass since then. And again, we start out today defensively. His leg gets in the way of DJ, but of course there's no call. Also, fantastic job, MLB. I'm so glad you decided to add all these new rules to just not utilize them, to not review things, right? First, it was the garbage call that we saw that was non-reviewable yesterday between the Cubs and the Rangers. Today, we don't just get dog shit officiating. Sounds like a day that ends in Y. What we also get is inconsistency once again in the officiating when evaluating first base, second base, sliding in, all those kind of things. So, as we advance further here, thank you for the donation, Mike. I will get to that shortly. We then get to the third inning. Mets are up again by a run. Jose Quintana with his first 1-2-3 inning of the day. We then head to the fourth because, again, throughout this entire time, the Mets are not hitting shit. So everything I'm reading now is pretty much just what the Brewers are doing. Yelly goes and rips one to right, lefty on lefty, but Jose Quintana makes the grave mistake of hanging a breaking ball on Christian Yelich of all people. This is one of the few guys in Brewers lineup you do not want to do that to. He did it, lefty on lefty, not a problem. Sayonara. It's a tied ball game 1-1 that we would see in the fourth. Huge break, really hung that breaking ball. Perkins would get on with a single too. I keep wanting breakfast after saying that name. If you know, you know. That will do it then for the inning. As we get to the fifth, Monsterio, or however you pronounce Schmuck's name for the Brewers. I'm just calling him a Schmuck because I'm mad because we had one hit. Unbelievable. Churrillo then with the single, so two guys on there. Then we see William Contreras with an RBI sac fly to right. Starling Marte struggled to find it a bit with the wind carried it a lot farther than it was supposed to. Gets the throw to third base, but it's not in time. So again, that brings in a run, or home rather. Yelich we would see with a single as well. And then we would have Drew Smith come in the game. And shout out to Drew Smith, guys. I've been a fairly heavy critic of Drew Smith. Many of you guys and gals know that. He looked really good today. I have to give props where props is due. He got the swinging strikeout on Rhys Hoskins to end the inning. He would then go on in the sixth and finish things off with a 1-2-3 without a problem. Just keep this man away from supermodels. If you know, you know. Literally, pre-introducing himself to models, Drew Smith is a damn good reliever. Post the last couple of years, garbage, trash, want nothing to do with him. So it's either, okay, don't be a horn dog and we're going to get great stuff. Be a horn dog and it's going to overpower you and we're not going to get good pitching. So let's stick with the first thing and not the latter, Drew. Love to hear it. Then we get in the bottom of the sixth, right? Freddie Peralta finishes things off. You want to know what Freddie Peralta does? He retires 13 straight batters today. Again, it isn't shocking when you see his line of his 7-8. He had himself 8 strikeouts today. And that is exactly why Freddie Peralta is our... Why is this thing not updated? That should not say Brandon Nimmo. Look at this nonsense with me. Why does it look like that? Let me try to update the graphic real quick. You guys can laugh at it with me. Why? Why does that say Brandon Nimmo? What did Brandon do? He's literally the one guy that I would never put in such a graphic, I feel like. All right, let's fix it there. Freddie Peralta, this schmuck, carved up the Mets left and right so good today. 6 innings of 1 hit, 1 earned run ball, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Retired the final 13 batters he saw, and I'm pretty sure that he struck out the final 3 to 4 batters that he saw too. He was disgusting, and I would like to give credit where credit's due. Freddie Peralta is a tremendous young pitcher, okay? So I'm not overly shocked to see a guy of his caliber carve up a Mets team as currently constructed. Where I have a gripe is, okay, Freddie Peralta, you're going to go out and shove. That's one thing. To only have one measly hit the entire game on opening day, Citi Field, so many people went out of their way. They canceled going to work today. They shifted. They probably got in trouble with work too because they were supposed to go yesterday, rained out, has to go today, and you're going to tell me as a thank you for us fans coming out, you're going to give us this nothing burger of a god-awful performance. I don't care that it's one game. I don't care whatsoever that's one game. What I care about is it being opening day and these guys coming out here and looking as lifeless as humanly possible. The fact that we would get on then later on in the game, of course, as you've seen with the highlights where Rhys Hoskins, again, slid in to second base. Jeff gets heated, and they don't do anything with that type of potential momentum swing is the most frustrating thing of all. Again, I'm not going to live or die with this team to the extent that I have in the past for not only my own sanity and health, but just for the reality. It's a 162. I'm going to be sitting here talking to you guys after basically every game. So naturally, I got to balance myself and not get on with the Wardy rants quick. Not here to rant or anything like that. Just very underwhelmed today. It's very, very frustrating for things to have performed the way that they have to this point. Just very frustrating in my opinion. But that's what we see from Freddie Peralta today. You guys all saw the hitting stats. Let's look at the pitching stats here, because as we would go on further in the ball game, again, Drew Smith with the 1-2-3. Peralta retires. The final guys are in the 6th. In the 7th, Jorge Lopez comes in, and Jorge Lopez unfortunately gives up some hard contact right away. Bowers, who's pinch hitting, gets a double. Terrain with a single, and Jackson Trio drives in the 3rd and final run for the Brewers, which is an RBI fielder's choice because of the double play, and then they get a double play ball again after to end the inning. Nice turns there, but there's where the damage was done. Again, I'm not overly griping about Lopez. This offense was so god-awful today that I'm not going to complain there. Michael Tonkin looked very good today, pitched the final 2 innings, had himself a walk, 2 strikeouts. Michael Tonkin is expected to be a multi-inning reliever for the Mets pretty much every time out there. Breathe. I don't want to breathe. I don't want to breathe, Crimson. I'm pissed off. I'm not happy. This is annoying. It's annoying. I hate the fact that I watched this game today, and I literally thought this was the start of the 2023 season. Hey, Wardy, re-listened today and got to watch this sweat fart game at the same time. I'm so sorry to hear that, Mike, but again, I appreciate you, and I thank you so much for your service. Let's get some love and hype in the chat to my man Mike in here for not only being a great man serving our country, but also enduring while overseas, doing everything he's doing and watching these god-awful Mets games. It takes a true sicko to do that, and it's something that if I was in your shoes, I would more than likely do the exact same thing, because no matter what with this team, we're diehard. We love them no matter what, and we just want to see them have success. Good news, and again, some of you guys are saying in the chat too, I agree with you. We saw, again, guys like Luis Angel Acuna, Drew Gilbert, both of them hit nukes today in AAA. Drew Gilbert hit his nuke, by the way, in AAA today, off of, yes, Robert Gazelman, now that he is in the Nationals AAA squad at the moment. We also saw Joey Lucchesi going 5 shutty in his start there in AAA. Love to see that. So the depth, the youngsters, everything's looking great so far through the first game of the season in the minors. But at the major league level, you guys, honestly, you might as well put Acuna in here. You might as well put Gilbert in here. Maybe they would have had a spark. Maybe they would have had a life. Surely would have been better than the shit show of a sandwich, a performance that we got from the New York Metropolitans today. But now I got to ask everybody, I got to ask, truthfully, after witnessing this game, 1 hit, Starling Marte nuke, that's nice. How are you feeling right now? What's your frustration level for it being the first game of the season? Do you care at all? Do you not care at all? Or are you just like, yeah, today sucked, but on to the next like I am? Because that's exactly how I'm going to be. I'm going to brush this off right away. I'm going to brush off a lot right away because I know that we have a lengthy season ahead still regardless. And, as you've been seeing the highlights again, as we would advance further on the ball game, as we get then to the top of the 8th, Tonkin in, Hoskins with a walk, double play ball, and that's where we have our issue. Again, Reese slides into second, clearly late. One of his spikes was up. It touched Jeff. I think Jeff's okay, thankfully. I know it wasn't with malicious intent, but if there's one schmuck to do such a thing, it's Reese Hoskins. Reese has been one of these guys, has had a back and forth constantly year after year after year. Literally every single year that Reese Hoskins has been in the league, when he isn't injured like he was all of last year, he's doing some bullshit to cause a problem with the Mets, one way or the other. And Jeff, obviously very hot-headed. We know Jeff will never hold back his anger or his emotion. He goes right up in his face. He's yapping at him right away. He's yelling, saying a bunch of, explosive stuff, I'm sure. Reese gets up. I broke it down frame by frame. Reese gets up and smiles right away and jogs back. And then as the bench is clear, Reese waits till his little ass is protected with his homies in the dugout, and that's where he starts talking shit. You are the softest little weakling. I might be short, but I'm not as much of a schmuck as you, Reese. I cannot stand Reese Hoskins. Literally, the game would be so much better without him in it. That is how much I don't like Reese Hoskins. This has been going on since day one. He's an absolute schmuck. Jeff McNeil describes Reese Hoskins' history of slides around second base bag as definitely not okay. So this is something clearly that has been an ongoing issue, which is probably what got Jeff to his boiling point a little bit more. Again, if you're a first-time offender, it's one thing. Look at how look at the way that Jeff just pointed it down at him in those highlights. Again, we all know how hot-headed McNeil is. I understand that. But at the same time, we also know how equally cringy and annoying someone like Rhys Hoskins is. Again, if you're not a fan of Jeff or whatever, that's completely fine. I know that he's a very emotionally based player, but Rhys is just one of these guys for the longest time where I'm constantly saying the league would be so much better without him in it. And I will stand by that. Even if he's a Mets at some point in his career. I'm not a Rhys Hoskins fan. All offseason long, people were asking me, oh, Mets should add Rhys Hoskins for DH. I was like, miss me with that shit. I want nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. Yeah, but Rhys will betray the Mets. That's honestly one of the few situations where it would be difficult to root for him. I would need to see things patched up with Jeff. I would literally need to see like everything good in the clubhouse before doing that, just because of how much I personally don't like him. Heartless performance today. I 100% agree. This was a brutal performance by our New York Metropolitans today. So on a scale of 1 to 10, everybody watching live, people on replay, same applies. Let me know in the comments, what is your frustration level after a shit show performance by the Mets today on opening day? Of course, we got a game right back at it early tomorrow. I'll be back live here for pre- and post-game coverage just like we did today. And all I got to say is thank goodness I did not bother to take a hike to opening day today. I kid you not, one of the main reasons why I decided not to go today is because I cannot trust this team, especially early on in the season. In a cold, fairly windy day, the sun was out, but we know it was a little bit chilly there at times. If it's rainy at all, which it wasn't today, but it is a lot in April and May, that we rarely get any type of good offensive performances from the Mets early on in the season like this. At least in my young fandom, a lot of the times we haven't. Like post-2019 Juice Ball era, there's been very little of that from my recollection. So glad I wasn't there today, but everyone that did attend, I hope you had a blast aside from the game itself. I feel like if you attended Citi Field today, everything was great but the actual game itself. Brewers owner Bryce, you really think I give a flying fuck about a 3-1 loss as if the Brewers dominated the team? They dominated us last year 100% in Milwaukee. But here's the thing, to the few Brewers fans that are first chiming in, appreciate, happy to have you in here. Hope the cheese curds are good. My response is, I literally cannot stand Rhys Hoskins. You can call me a douche all you want. I don't care. I will not care for even a second. My thought process will not change on that front. And this goes well beyond Rhys as a Brewer. This goes all the way back to Rhys in 2019. This goes literally when he started his career, when he was hitting nukes left and right for Philly the first couple months of the season. And then we saw, of course, the type of personality that comes with it. We come back stronger tomorrow, I believe. I hope so, Matt. That would be awesome, right? That would be. And again, because of the fact that this was such a lackadaisical 3-1 loss, there's not much to get into. I'm not going to drag this for like an hour show today, but we will, of course, have a further discussion here because as we take a look at pitching-wise today, you guys saw the final line earlier, but I'll show you again of Jose Quintana. Bear with me as I try to get the camera to focus. A lot of times it loves to snap out of focus. Maybe you're going to get some WardyNYM ASMR for a second. Come on, camera, do your thing. Are we going to stay blurred? Honestly, this might be fitting. This is actually very fitting. You know what? The camera's not going to focus, just like the Mets didn't focus today. All right. Now let's look at the player breakdown from Jose Quintana today. Again, Jose gave us 4.2 innings of 6-hit, 2-earned run ball. He gave up the nuke to Yelly that we saw. And his pitching arsenal was the following today. Sinker utilized right around 34% of his arsenal. Top 91, sat 90. Curveball, topped 79, sat 77. Changeup, topped 87, sat 85. Fastball, top 91, sat 90. Yeah, I mean, he looked flat today. Jose Quintana looked flat today. He again, after the first inning, was able to get some quirk work done, had himself at least 1-2-3 inning today, but he struggled to locate against a Brewers team that honestly was tricky. This Brewers team definitely performed offensively today from guys in the bottom of the order where they really became a thorn in the Mets and Quintana's side today, and they deserve absolute credit for that. Quintana wasn't the worst pitcher imaginable today or anything like that, and, you know, truthfully, how much better of a performance would he be hoping for in a one-hit game for the Mets here? That's why, again, I have little gripes with Quintana's outing. I just hope he can, not hope, I know he's going to continue to be better with that command. But there is one thing that I will make note of. Quintana only gave up 5 home runs with the Mets last season when he was brought back to the team post-trade deadline, coming back from his injury. But Quintana is also a guy that at his best does not give up bombs often. And he's already given up a bomb in his first start. You have to wonder if this is a potential trend or hopefully that this is kind of an outlier and he can shore things up. And I'm not expecting him to have the best home run rate per 9 in baseball like he did 2 seasons ago, but I am expecting him to not completely deviate from that either and be a Jekyll and Hyde pitcher. Like, I don't want this to be a Carlos Carrasco situation, for example, right? But still, all in all, Quintana, I think he was perfectly fine today. Would have liked him to go deeper if he was able to, but clearly Carlos Mendoza made the right call to pull him when he did. And I thought that was a very savvy move by Mendoza, too. I love the fact that he pulled him in that situation. Scared me shitless to bring in Drew Smith, I'll tell you that much, but it paid off. So as long as it pays off, Carlos, thank you. I appreciate that. We finally got to see Carlos Mendoza and what he can bring on that end. But on the offensive end, again, my gripes. Jeff McNeil and cleanup today. What are we doing? Francisco Alvarez, I know he didn't have a hit today. I still want Alvarez moved up in the lineup. I will not be satisfied until Francisco Alvarez is at minimum batting 5th in the lineup for the New York Mets this season. And JD Martinez, I'm just counting the days, guys. I'm just counting the days. The Mets need this guy so bad, not only for the impact he will have on the field, but equally the impact he's going to have off the field is going to be just as important. Let's see here. This team wouldn't be 500 in AAA. That's quite the evaluation after one game, and I'm not surprised. Who would have thought Smith was great? Drew Smith, again, just keep him away from the baddies. Keep him away from the baddies, and you're going to get some solid performances. Two Cat says, this team would be good. They just need to work on hitting, base running, pitching, fielding, a few more things. Just a few. Wardy, did you notice tensions being weird between Cohen and Crew with the on-field reporter? They seemed testy at one point. No, I didn't see that, actually. I have no clue what you're talking about, so if you can link me, if anyone got a clip of anything on Twitter, please enlighten me. I listened to Steve's presser earlier today. That was good. A lot of good. Can't complain there. Did not hear about the on-field stuff with the reporter, however. Let's see. I personally think McNeil's attitude is needed on every ball club. I'm all for Jeff's attitude, right time, right place. Jeff has been too much of an emotional roller coaster throughout his career, though. You don't need to be literally trying to snap someone's neck just because you had a soft ground out to first. Like, no, Jeff, maybe learn to spread the field like you did in 2022 that we're still trying to see again. But when it comes to Jeff, we all know the emotion's going to be there with him. And yes, I 100% don't blame people that criticize him for that, or people that even want to call me a hypocrite for going out at Hoskins knowing how Jeff is in general. I'm aware of that. You can call me a hypocrite all you want. This is one of the few instances where, yes, there's bias that comes into play because I absolutely despise Rhys Hoskins, and he has yet to give me a reason to suggest otherwise. Like, literally, it's only gotten worse as the years have went on. Get rid of Alonso, Marte, McNeil, and Nimmo. Elgood, I don't know what you're smoking, but that has to be some good shit. Pass that over here. Thank you very much. Let's see. I would challenge a lineup with Tyrone Taylor, Short, and Wendell to play. Well, again, we're also not going to make drastic decisions off of one game, even if you're only having one hit. I will tell you this. I do anticipate Tyrone Taylor to get the start tomorrow. That's something I expect to see. If not, certainly the series finale then this Sunday. I'm sorry, but if I was Sevy, Hoskins would be catching 97-mile-per-hour heater in the gut. But the Mets don't operate that way, though. You know, they really don't. We have went through this already. You know what I mean? We have literally went through this over the past couple of years where the Mets have been the most hit team in baseball and they don't retaliate. They haven't retaliated, and it ended up hurting them in the end. And I'm not the type of guy that's like, look, I want you to go out of your way to retaliate, you know, by drilling a guy, but I think something needs to be had, you know, something to ruffle some feathers, you know, even if that means to brush by, you know, to kind of let them know, like, stop with the BS, please, or we're going to take action. Just something versus nothing. Has Fam ever watched a Mets game? Crimson, who are you talking about in the chat, brother? Let me see it. Let's see also here. I'm just joking. I appreciate you, Elgood. Happy to have you in here. Rhys Hoskins is new age Chase Utley. Oh, 100%. 100%. I'm sure he literally called Chase right after and let him know how great of a job he did. You know, don't even get me started. I love my veterans, but WardyNYM, do you see the salute to the veterans name today? Yes, I did. Correct me if I'm wrong. The veteran of the game today was Mr. Seymour Wiener. If that isn't the most fantastic name you've ever heard, I don't know what is. Shout out to Mr. Wiener. I'm sure he was an absolute dog back in the day, doing all crazy things, amazing things for the country. Hopefully, went through a lot. But yes, that was a complete meme that just went viral on social media today that we all saw. Yes, that did in fact happen. Seymour Wheat. What a name. What a name. I love the first name too. I almost like it just as much as the second because you just don't hear that name as often. At least for me. You know, I don't know if you guys can relate or not. And guys, look at this shit. Just look at this. Like I waited months for this. For this. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we doing? Might as well throw my ass out there. I will gladly take one for the team. If you have to drill me in the ass or whatever, in the freaking ribs, and I know that's going to get clipped because I realize how terrible my wording was. So there you go. It happened. Whether I get hit with a baseball on the buttock, whether it's the ribs, wherever, I will take one for the team to get on base because this team couldn't even get on base today. Seymour Butts, says someone in the chat. Beatty's still on the Mets. Why? Because the Mets don't have other true third base options, and you want to give a leash to a kid in a transitionary year. Brett looked great defensively today, but his final strikeout was as Brett as it gets. Love Brett to death. 94 heater right down the dick. I literally had PTSD. I was seeing JD Davis on the television. I was like, wait. No, it's not JD Davis. It's another struggling third baseman, this time in Brett Beatty, doing the exact same thing. So, yeah, that was frustrating. That was. But here's the thing. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick one specific Mets batter today. You want to know why? When your entire offense only has one hit. It's a universal thing. It's a universal issue. It's much bigger. Much, much bigger than what we've seen. So many highlights. I'm sure that's a joke, right, Joe? The only highlights we got today is a Marte bomb, a couple Jose Quintana strikeouts, and Jeff trying to freaking rip the head off of Rhys Hoskins, in which Rhys didn't start yapping until he got back in the dugout like the soft little soy boy that he is. Wardy wants to get drilled. No, hey, pump the brakes. What are we at? What is this? What is this becoming? What is this chat becoming? It's nervous. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. We got roughly 700 viewers on Twitter that just heard me say something ridiculous. I'll tell you that much. But again, that's on the hitting side of things for people that are just chiming in on the pitching side of things. Again, Jose Quintana, 4.2 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, sub-4 ERA to kick off his season. Drew Smith, 1.1 shutty. We love that. Jorge Lopez got barreled, but Lopez is going to be good for the Mets this year. I don't expect him to necessarily be like a true setup man, but I do think he's going to definitely be a positive impact on his bullpen. And Michael Tonkin did what he did so well with the Braves last year, and we're going to see plenty of Michael Tonkin this year. He is that multi-innings eater that does it well. The good thing is we got 161 left, says Pete Alonso. So that's where we're at already. We got a lot of games left. That is true. You're right, Pete. But you know what, Pete? I don't appreciate when we finally have a guy on base, Pete. First pitch swing and pop up. Caught that shit. Who caught it? I don't even know. It was the Brewers' third baseman if it wasn't their catcher. Because I know William Contreras was staring, but he didn't get it. Either way, that pissed me off because when that happened, I'm like, that's probably wraps. I'm not expecting this game to go much better than it did. And it sucks because I'm always the internal optimist. I'm like, never say die until they're finally out. You can never count the team out. This hair is driving me up a wall. What are you doing, dude? Like, why? There's no need for that. Okay. This post game is going exactly how I thought it was going to go, given the unfortunate outcome here. Guys, screw this. Let's talk about something interesting at least. Give me 1 second. Let's talk about something interesting. Let's get into our great sponsor at BetUS before we go further in the show, because at least we can have some type of entertainment. All I will say is that anyone that tailed my 3-pick parlay today, I'm sorry. I wish I could have had a bigger impact on this Mets game than what I've had. I did not think that they were going to get one hit today. I genuinely thought they were going to win today, not because of bias, but because of literally their track record for opening day. That isn't the case. It is what it is. But now let's get into our amazing sponsor here at BetUS, because BetUS right now, as we look at the lines that are the games that are currently slated, what we got going on at the moment, we got some awesome slates tonight. And honestly, when I look at these key matchups as well, currently for tomorrow's game, Mets are already the money line favorite at -125. That'll likely change. So when we do our pregame show tomorrow, I will update you guys on what the lines look like there. But I am eyeing this Yankees-Astros game. I really am. And I'm further eyeing Yankees spread. Okay, the fact that the Yanks are, again, underdog today, I understand that. I don't want to take the money line. But Yanks at -190, plus 1.5, which means, again, they need to either win or make sure that they do not, or make sure that they only lose by a certain amount of runs or no more than. So for this one, we're going to put down a hundo to win 52.6. Actually, no, let's make that a little bit better. We're going to go 150 to win just under 80 here on this for Yankees today. I know it's crazy that I'm betting on the Yanks, but again, when it comes to sports betting, I push a lot of bias aside when I'm doing other teams. Obviously, when I'm covering my own team, it's a little bit of a different story. But again, if you guys are trying to get in on your sports betting action today too, make sure to check out our great friends at BetUS, who has you covered with all their updated lines. They have live betting too as well. That will show you right now that they got going on. Currently at the moment, when we look at live betting in baseball, there's one game at the moment that's still live, and that is the Braves and the Phillies. Right now, money line Phillies are at plus 124. Braves are the favorite right now at minus 178. So if you guys like to do the live odds too, again, plus 129, get in on the action, then click the link down below. And shout out as always to BetUS for being an amazing sponsor here on the channel. Appreciate everyone's support regarding them. As always, the pregame show is a lot of fun. We'll be breaking down our parlays, our picks of the day, every single pregame show that we do this regular season, which will be more than just me. We're going to be having some awesome fellow guest hosts that come in that do the show from time to time, and it's going to be great. Ohtani uses code Wardy's code. I bet he does. I don't blame him. Yes, drop the bag, Shohei. Do your thing, baby. Hey, you know what? If it's going to support me, don't mind as much. But if it isn't going to support me, then I do mind. You know, that's how it works. If it doesn't help me, then I mind. That's what I will say. Just remember, taking degenerate gambling money is good tax revenue, says Mike. Okay. Let's see. All New York teams suck because we take shortcuts. The Knicks are finally starting to win because they finally started trusting their youth. That's true. But hey, as a Knicks fan, you should know this. They 100% took shortcuts. Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Quentin Grimes. There's one more. I'm missing. There's another obvious one. Obi Toppin, you know, some of the top draft picks for the Knicks, all gone. Why? Because they utilize their assets properly in the right situations. So I agree with that to an extent. But when you look at the current configuration of the Knicks right now, their top talent is not homegrown talent. Their key role players, Deuce McBride is homegrown talent. Jericho Sims as the backup. The blockness monster, Mitchell Robinson, yes. That's it, though. So, again, you still need to utilize those things at the same time. Utilize those assets when it is deemed proper. Knicks are not as clear-cut as like, oh, they just developed, they took their time, and that's that. No, they developed and then trade away some of their top guys that they drafted the past couple of years in order to help their win-now stage, to work around Jalen Brunson, to have OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, two guys that they desperately need back from injury to kick off playoffs. Let's see. This chat has been funny and entertaining. I agree, Sanders. This has been all over the place. I guess this is a reality, too, of when you cover, again, a 3-1 Mets loss on opening day. And I don't know where we're at on the like count, guys, but if you continue to smash that like and subscribe on, greatly appreciate. Help us get to our next short-term goal, that being of whether it's 100, 150 to 200 likes in the live show. Greatly appreciate. People on replay, same applies. Drop them down below. But, guys, I am going to be wrapping things up in the next 5 minutes or so. Again, I don't want to be too long-winded with this one because there's not much to really talk about, unfortunately. You know, I'm excited that baseball's back, but if there's one thing I got to give credit where credit's due, this Mets team just knows how to suck any type of optimism that I had in me away completely. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. Just in the sense of, like, being really hyped. It's opening day. We've been waiting so long for this. And it took how long? How long for them to just have the most underwhelming game imaginable? You know, and you can't even say the stuff like, oh, you know, it's great, we're getting out of the way now. We dealt with this shit all last season. So I don't want to hear that nonsense, because there is no guarantee on if it'll go away. What there is a possibility is that it'll continue, right? So that I can't wait to have JD Martinez. I need this man like I need water. And I'm hoping that tomorrow we obviously just have an offense that decides to wake up. That's here. Mets bats just were not aware. They weren't awake. I don't know if they slept in earlier today, so they had a slow roll or what, but they were not present, and that's very disappointing at a home opening day. I cannot emphasize that enough. I feel for the fans that attended today's game and had to witness the shit show you call a ball game. Let's see. Without a doubt, if Ohtani was a Met, they'd take him to the... Oh, 100%. 100%. Let's see tomorrow, and then I'll be depressed. Okay. So, okay, here's a question for everybody. Tomorrow, let's take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchup briefly. We will emphasize it in our pregame show tomorrow. And our pregame show tomorrow will probably be right around noon like it was today, if not a little bit earlier. Tomorrow's game is also at 1:40 p.m. And we got DL Hall, the southpaw, matching up against Luis Severino. So my question to you, everybody, is what is your predicted outcome for tomorrow? Do you think the Mets are going to lose the series right away, or do you think they're going to have a chance to win it all on Sunday? And by winning it all, I'm referring to winning the series, not the entire series itself like a sweep, but winning 2 or 3. Let me know what your predictions are. Will the Mets already lose the series tomorrow, or will they even things up? Let me hear it. You guarantee the Mets will have at least 2 tomorrow? Relax. 2 hits, you mean? You guys are killing me. I'm hoping for 2 hits tomorrow. The bar's low, guys. The bar's low. We're not liking it. Not feeling it. Not excited about it. It is what it is, though. I hate to be David Stearns talking to Steve Cohen today. I don't. It's the first game of the season. The only thing that David could say is like, well, that sucked. Like, that was a bummer. But, you know, it's not David's fault in that regard. We have a lot of talented players on this roster. It's hard to justify a one-hit opening day game, even against a really good starter in Freddie Peralta that we've discussed playing already. Okay, so we got lose the series. Things are going to even up. We're going to even up. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. We're going to even up. We're going to lose. This chat's depressing. Welcome to the New York Metropolitan fan base. I'm your host, Tyler Ward, better known as WardyNYM, and today I'm coming at you with the cane of pessimism, which is this entire fan base as a whole. But here's the thing. On a day like today, I don't blame fans for just having their normal 24-hour reaction. I'm not happy with the game today. Am I going to let it impact my day in any way, shape, or form? No, not at all. Like, I'm still feeling very good, very excited that the season's here. Honestly, this game's a blur. I'm hoping that I can forget about it fast. And I hope the Mets give me a great reason to forget about it starting tomorrow. But hey, you know what? Maybe they thought things were starting Saturday and they didn't realize that Friday today was the actual opening day. Whatever it may be, let's hope that we can get ourselves more offense tomorrow and let that be that. But guys and gals, that is going to do it for the live show. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to stop in, to share your thoughts, share your comments, questions, concerns. If you talk shit on me, if you enjoyed my coverage, whatever it may be, if you hit that like and subscribe button, if you donated, thank you all so much for the endless support. And again, we will be back live, same place, same time tomorrow. Mets pregame show, Mets postgame show. And until then, have a fantastic rest of your night, day, evening. And whenever you're watching this, go do yourself a favor, relax. You still got the whole rest of your Friday for many of you on the East Coast as well. West Coast, you really got your entire Friday. So enjoy yourself. Have a great rest of your evening. And don't let a one-hit loss ruin your night. So that's it from me. Thank you all so much as always. Appreciate the support. Love the back and forth. Love the banter. Love the nonsense in the chat today. I'm looking forward to doing it all again tomorrow.